Ask any American when the United States declared its independence from Great Britain, and you will get the exact same answer: July 4th, 1776. But the actual, legal separation didn't happen on the 4th. The Continental Congress voted to approve the Lee Resolution, severing ties with the British Crown, 2 days earlier, on July 2nd. The 4th was simply the day they finished editing the formal paperwork and sent it to the printer. We like our history neat. We prefer the ceremonial ribbon cutting, the signed parchment, and the grand public announcement. We tend to ignore the messy reality of the hours when the functional work actually gets done. It makes a strange kind of sense that July 2nd slips under the radar. In a standard year, the exact mathematical midpoint of the calendar occurs at noon on this specific date. It is the literal hinge of the year. And that is exactly how it functions in our historical record. While we celebrate the holidays that come after, July 2nd is the day the heavy lifting is quietly finished off stage. When you break down massive, multi-year conflicts, the eventual winner is often decided in a single afternoon of fighting, long before the final surrender. During the English Civil War, the Royalist army held firm control of northern England. That broke on July 2nd, 1644, at the Battle of Marston Moor, when a defeat shattered the Royalist forces and permanently tipped the scales of the conflict. 2 centuries later, the American Civil War reached its climax at Gettysburg. The battle lasted 3 days, but the outcome of the entire campaign was decided on the second day, July 2nd. Look at this tactical map of the Union line at Gettysburg. Their left flank at Little Round Top was dangerously exposed. Confederate troops assaulted this hill to roll up the entire line. Out of ammunition, Union defenders launched a bayonet charge, barely holding their ground. Had that flank collapsed on that specific Tuesday afternoon, the Confederate Army would have had a clear path to Washington. The United States survives today because of a tactical hold on July 2nd. Open battlefields leave obvious scars, but autocrats rarely risk their power in public combat. They secure their empires through sudden, quiet purges in the shadows. In the year 626, Prince Li Shimin ambushed and assassinated his own brothers at the Swanwu Gate. By the time the sun set, he had eliminated his rivals and secured absolute control over the Tang dynasty, ruling as Emperor Taizong. Exactly 1,308 years later, another rising leader used the same playbook. Over 3 days in Germany in 1934, the Nazi Party executed a political purge known as the Night of the Long Knives. The killings ended on July 2nd. By that afternoon, the last of Adolf Hitler's internal political rivals were gone. Both of these events served the exact same function. They allowed a dictator to lock in total control before the public even realized a shift had occurred. You don't need a battlefield or an assassination squad to change history. In modern democracies, the most profound transitions happen through routine paperwork and quiet trips to the ballot box. On July 2, 1890, the U.S. Congress passed the Sherman Antitrust Act. It was a dense, dry piece of legislation that gave the government the legal authority to dismantle corporate monopolies, restructuring how the American economy functioned. On the same day in 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act. By outlawing segregation in public facilities, the law dismantled the legal framework of Jim Crow and forced a shift in the American political map that had remained static for a century. And on July 2, 2000, millions of voters in Mexico cast their ballots for Vicente Fox. In doing so, they ended over 70 years of continuous single-party rule by the PRI. None of these events involved firing a single shot, yet they dismantled economic empires, rewrote social contracts, and toppled political dynasties, all on a date that passes by every year without a parade. The ambush in 626, the defense of that hill in 1863, and the signing of the law in 1964 were separated by centuries and oceans. Yet in each case, the functional turning point landed on the same overlooked Tuesday in July. We set off our fireworks and throw our parades on the days when the speeches are finally given and the treaties are formally published. But power rarely changes hands on a podium. It shifts in the trenches, the voting booths, and the closed-door meetings. The calendar is full of days reserved for monuments and ceremonies.
But history suggests that the functional work of changing a country, winning the battle, signing the law, or casting the deciding ballot, is often finished while we're still looking toward the holiday.